here's your host,
I'm Alex Garrett, and big news today is today's the day where we're the One Leg Up podcast with the Sports Spotlight, because Fanatics, yeah, that's right, my sponsor Fanatics, has one leg up on Adidas, on Reebok, on Nike, as the official, as of this week, official NHL jersey maker for all 32 teams. That's right. The NHL will be the official jersey provider of the NHL. Many people are like, well, they're just a replica store. But you know what? They also make real jerseys, by the way. They also make jerseys for Major League Baseball. I read somewhere 100,000 of them every season in Major League Baseball. 100,000 Major League Baseball jerseys. Now it's the NHL. And while many people are worried about this, I say I love it. You know why? Because I love when someone I like to support, like Fanatics, and they sponsor the podcast and the vlog. I love when they're seeing them expand into the NHL. Did you know they're already at the Winter Classic with booths? They've already had stores within the arenas, and hell, the Fanatics NHL shop is right in the heart of New York City in Hudson Yards. That is run by Fanatics. So the fact that this merger happened after Adidas stepped back makes a lot of sense. So that's why I want to say congratulations to Fanatics for getting the contract to be the official jersey maker of the National Hockey League. You know, this one's a little worn out. Maybe I need a new one, Fanatics. Huh? I love the retrofit Lady Liberty. Maybe a new one on the way. Who knows? We'll have to figure that out. But for now, congratulations, Fanatics. And as we continue here on the One Leg Up feature, this still has to do with basketball and sports, because in the NCAA, heading into today, after last night's rolling of Gonzaga by UConn, after last night's upset by FAU, after what we've seen all tournament long, the question begs to ask, what legacy team is left in the NCAAs? What team that we would normally see this far into the tournament, this deep into the tournament, is left? The answer? Not many. Kansas getting ousted very early on. Virginia, just the champion a few years ago, getting ousted very early on. Duke, Kentucky, all of those teams that are, quote-unquote legacy. UNC not even wow. Michigan not even making it this year. Wow. It's been an upside-down season, let alone tournament. Remember, UNC was supposed to be the number one, and they just tanked, not on purpose, but they did not do well at all. And they were like 23rd. That was, I think, one of the highest ranks they got. Yeah, okay, and out Michael Jordan, blah, blah, blah. But seriously, they were supposed to be number one, and they did not get there. Now you're going to have, basketball-wise, see, I don't consider Texas basketball a legacy NCAA tournament team. I would say Creighton's in there. I would say UConn's in there. But when you look at today's slate alone, you're going to see San Diego State. You're going to see, to finish off the Elite Eight, San Diego State. You're going to see Miami, Florida. Obviously, University of Miami. Sort of a legacy basketball team, right? Had that incredible run a couple of years ago with Larinaga. But what's happening next Saturday with FAU taking on UConn, well, FAU, UConn, and possibly San Diego State, and Texas or Miami, there's very few legacy teams. So here's my question on One Leg Up with Alex Garrett. Is it good to have very little legacy teams and the upset factor, or is it bad for the NCAA to not have a top-tier NCAA tournament team lasting this long? I think the upsets are what make March Madness, but this was upset overload. I know that there's a lot of transition. You see Roy Williams is no longer coaching. Mike Krzyzewski's no longer coaching. Jim Boeheim just announced his retirement. Mike Bray announced his retirement at Notre Dame. So you're going to see a lot of turnover, a lot of coaching changes, a lot of recruiting changes. Of course, here in St. John's, Rick Pitino making his mark already. The 70-year-old taking over as St. John's head coach. Big deal after doing well with Iona, taking him to the tournament. You have Fordham, who is almost on the cusp of it. But why are all these turnovers happening? Why are these upside down moments happening? Why are these upsets happening? Well, with Kansas, Bill Self was not entirely healthy. In fact, he was not well for most of the year, and they finally got back to health just in time for the tournament. You have new coaches in different places. Shaheen Holloway in Newark as the Seton Hall head coach, who's sometimes in the tournament and has been under Kevin Willard the last few years. You got Duke Mike Krzyzewski retiring, as I mentioned earlier. You've got changes afloat, and these coaches, I've got to get Mr. Waters on again, the former Rutgers head coach, to talk about all this turnover and why that matters when it comes to making your bracket. Should we now bank on these newer coaches to take the top-tier teams to not only just the big dance, but the Elite Eight, the Sweet 16, the Final Four, the round of 32 even? Or will this change brackets forever? All of these retirements, all the structure we knew as kids growing up. We had Krzyzewski, we had Roy Williams, we had Jim Boeheim, we had even St. John's successful for years. Back in the day, the 80s, Carnesecca. We had Kevin Willard growing up. We had successful teams, not just in the tri-state, but around the country. And now, because of these retirements, the brackets are changing. That's all I can equate to the fact that these top-tier teams are not where they're at. Why they're not in the Elite Eight. Why they're not going to the Final Four. Why they get eliminated early. Recruiting changes when the coaches come in, right? When the coaches turn over, right? And so, I would say, as exciting the bracket is, when you have 0.12% of the brackets remaining after day one, woohoo! I would say that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Tom Izzo made it far with Michigan State, but again, another team that did not reach the cusp of the Sweet 16 and then Elite Eight. So, the big item on the docket for me when it comes to these legacy teams is, do we bank on them now? Or have these retirements forever changed the way college basketball will be? There's a lot of big shoes to fill when you fill in, as a coach for Duke or North Carolina or now Syracuse. Big shoes to fill. And I commend Duke getting to the tournament this year with the first-year head coach who was actually learning under tutelage of Krzyzewski, John Shire. I commend him for getting him that far in a first-year situation for him. But look at these retirements as a bellwether to change in March Madness. And once again, congratulations to Fanatics on getting the contract with the National Hockey League. And I'm sure we'll have more to talk about in the days to come with regards to the NHL. Tomorrow, Lou Terminello and Jim Lamparello talk about Willis Reed on the sports side of things. Tune into that. But for now, we'll get into more as the days go along here on the Alex Garrett Podcast Network.